So, Bubblegum's first name is Bonnabelle.
And Flame Princess is Phoebe.
Phoebe, yeah. Who knew? I thought they were just born with the name, like, like Dr. Princess, kind of like that. It was just kind of in their name. Okay, this is the Cooler. This is an episode where the Fire Kingdom is starting to cool down, and a lot of the characters seem to be disintegrating. One actually did kind of disintegrate, which makes it... Maybe he comes back after it gets put back. I'm not sure.
Remember, the one gun is absorbed into the other.
Yeah, maybe. That's probably it. Yeah.
Don't
know if that's
jets.
a good thing. So they figure they have to call in PB to help things out, and or BB now that we know. So she goes in and finds these giant kind of like fire statue giants or something that are dangerous if not used right, I suppose, could blow up their kingdom, which one of the politicians there wants to do, blow up the Candy Kingdom.
Her brother.
Yeah, her brother. Yeah, that's right, because he did say sister. So apparently she has a much bigger family than I remember. I thought she was kind of like an only child. I'm like, oh, actually, she has a couple brothers.
And the aunt.
And the aunt, that's right.
Who's not very smart.
No, I'm not very smart. So BB goes in, starts to take all the, take the essence of their power. Phoebe, understandably, gets really pissed off because she finds out that she's been spying on everybody and is taking the stuff away and interfering with how they do things. So she tries to blow her up, and then, but realizes maybe it's for the... I can feel it coming for like 5 minutes, man. I was trying to like hold that back. Okay. So finally, after she takes all the fire emblems or whatever they are out, she goes and leaves one up saying, okay, I'll allow a little bit of trust, and then looks at her giant Dark Knight style, spying on the city device, and decides to unplug them all and never spy on anyone again.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, kind of my thought too. Does not seem in character. There's even a point where she says, like, you were spying on us, and she's like, hey, I'm PB, it's what I do. It's like, but you broke our truce, whatever. Which is very funny. Yeah, this seemed like a very kind of politically oriented one in a sense. I mean, America has definitely had, talks about this, about we're all being watched and spied on and stuff, which, right. It is funny how the last one had, like, the fly spy. And so I started thinking, like, just incorporate the fly spy. Which is funny, all this time growing up, I don't know, I just always had, like, and I'm not a conspiracy nut, but I just kind of assume we're all being watched somehow anyway. Like, when they made the discovery, I was kind of like, I kind of had a feeling. See, everyone's like, holy shit, oh my god. I'm like, really? You never honestly had even in the back of your mind, maybe they were doing this? Like, I'm not saying it makes it right, but it's like, kind of thought it was probably going on.
I never thought that. Like, when people talk about it, I'm like, why? Why would someone watch me?
Oh, no, it's not you, it's everyone. That's the thing. But that's why it never concerned me that much, is that it's not me, it's just everyone. We're all, kind of being watched and spied on. Like I said, I'm by no means saying it's right. I'm saying just like, I kind of figured this was probably going on.
Yeah, see, I'm just like, I'm a boring fellow. I don't think, and most people are boring. I don't think anyone would give a shit.
Well, that's why, kind of like, after they released it, it's like, oh my god, this is a big mind blower, which, it was to have actual proof of this, but then at the same time, people are like, whatever. It's like, how dare they spy and show, I mean, they can show anybody anything that they want. Now, let me take pictures of my meal and put on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr. It's like, you're already doing it. I think it's one of the reasons it's not as big a deal. Yeah. So this one, I mean, really aside from the end with some of the PB jokes, like I said, the and all that stuff, it wasn't too much of like a character-driven one as much as like an ethical one, if that makes sense. I mean, it is nice to see Flame Princess again, and Bubblegum, because we were just saying in the last one, like, we haven't really seen that many characters outside of Finn and Jake for a while. So, it was okay. Yeah, it's about all I can take from it. Let me put it this way. I can see someone else watching this and being like, yeah, like that got message across that I really believe in and really stand behind. It just, like I said, I kind of grew up assuming this was being done anyway, so it didn't, like, hit as close to home to me. But I could see somebody else watching this like, yes, that's right, freedom, and let us do, right to our privacy and stuff like that. So, I don't know. What'd you think of it?
I didn't take it that way at all.
No?
Well, I mean, okay, in the beginning, I loved how, like, the guy woke up, jumped into his pants, and he talked about how diet and everything is great. But that's not what I'm doing, so something's wrong!
Yeah, the first, like, third of it was pretty funny with the flame people and everything.
Flame person running and going, oh!
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. PB showing up, I knew she was up to no good, but I think that was kind of the point because think about how much hatred for PB there is.
Mm.
I mean, like, a lot of people just don't like her, and I think this is almost like the turning point where it's like, okay, PB, everyone knows PB spies on everyone. I mean, it's obvious, and she doesn't hide it. And I think that's more what the whole wall of screens was, like showing, yeah, that's exactly who I am, this is what I do. And no one seemed to ever attack her and say, you're not a good person.
Mm-hmm.
They say, you're weird, or you're this, or you're that, you shouldn't be so
you're a control freak,
cruel,
yeah.
But Flame Princess just says, you're not a good person. And I think that's what hit PB the most. And she's like, oh. Because all the other stuff, she's like, yeah, whatever.
Well, you know what it is, too? I think because even though people would probably disagree with what she's doing, the reason she's doing it, most people would agree. I'm sure she's doing it so it's for the best interest of her kingdom and her people and stuff like that. And that's so it's like, it's all for the best interest, so how could I not be a good person because I'm doing so much? And yeah, that is kind of a legit point that nobody has ever actually said you are a bad person. Like, what you want is bad. And you're right, that probably did catch her very much off guard. It's always, the way you're doing this is bad, and that was the first time she heard you are a bad person.
And I think that's why they show this giant wall, and it's like, okay, you finally get to see the scope of how much she's watching. And I like how, she's watching the Fire Kingdom and pulls those plugs. And then you just see Finn and Jake doing their stupid little dance.
Whatever the hell that was.
And it's like, okay, that's harmless, that's stupid, does it really matter? But then she just turns them all off.
Mm.
And I think it's more one of those, it's more of a turning point for PB. Kind of like, maybe what I was doing wasn't such a good thing, and you know what? I'm going to stop now.
You want to know what's so funny about that? All the stuff that kind of made her, like, I think, unlikable to other people's eyes. I'm not going to act like I don't see how that's possible or people can see that. Like, especially in this one, I was like, okay, she's really crossing some fucking lines here. Like, this is really going pretty far. And then when she unplugs them at the very end, I will admit, I'm wondering if that would make her, depending on where they go, kind of a less interesting character. Because there was always something very interesting that she would especially as, like, really a politician, you know, like, she has to make these choices that are not easy choices, and are sometimes maybe not even the right choices, but, it's just the best at the moment or something, and, sort of walk that ethical line of right and wrong, and that's part of what made her kind of interesting, because before she was just like, oh, I'm Bubblegum, tee-hee-ha-ha, and early on, but then she got, like, really interesting in that she would be doing kind of this stuff, and she had, like, this science background, and she was all about, like, the statistics and the numbers, and she kind of got colder and colder, but that made her actually more interesting. It'll be, I'm not saying they can't still make her interesting. I'm wondering, though, if they sort of have, like, a plan for her. I mean, maybe they can just play up kind of the science aspect, and kind of the nerdy aspect and stuff. Because there were some episodes, like, where she's with, like, Rainicorn and stuff like that, where it's like, she didn't do anything ethically, like, debatable, but there was a clear character there, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. They can still kind of make her interesting, because over the season, she did become more interesting.
Yeah.
And not in a way of, just give her kind of what they do with boring characters, just give her a tragic backstory, or have her cry a few times or something like that, and instant interest. But no, she was actually like, everything was calculating in a statistic, and it was mathematical, and she was a scientist, so it kind of made sense,
Yeah.
and she just seemed more cold, but was doing it for the good of everybody, so she actually became really interesting.
Like, anytime she showed up on screen, it was kind of like, what's she up to?
Yeah.
What's her alternate plot here? Like, that's how I always looked at it.
And I think that probably is, whether or not it was planned or not, that's part of the fun of her starting out as kind of just like, the lighthearted kind of Princess Toadstool type character, and sort of shifting into this, because so much of being a politician is the image.
Yeah.
And that as long as you look, happy and confident and, good looking and all that stuff, it'll increase your chances of people not suspecting you of doing anything, even if you think it's in their best interest.
Yeah.
So it's...
As long as you look pretty and have a smile on your face, you can be caught red-handed, and it's still kind of okay.
Yeah, you can still kind of, like, play it off all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd be interested to see if... My guess would be they did not have it planned, but... I don't know. Now I'm starting wondering, like, maybe that was sort of the idea. She starts off as, like, just sort of the happy-go-lucky politician, and then slowly you discover more and more.
Yeah.
And, like, because that... Originally I would think no, but the more political they get into it, the more I'm like, that is kind of how politics works. You want to look really happy and confident and, so that they don't suspect as much, what you're doing. But even if you're doing bad stuff, I believe every politician believes they're doing it for the good of the people. They're doing it for the greater good. Okay, majority.
I'll say, I don't know if I'd say the minority believes that. The majority is kind of like, oh, cash.
I'll actually say majority. I'm more optimistic, though I'm not saying I'm right. You could be 100% right. But I'll be optimistic and say the majority. I can't see all these people going into politics. I mean, so many people in politics going in, so, moolah, how can I screw people over now? But I think
is that what happens in politics?
Yeah, you just take a pill and boom, you're thinking evil for everybody. It's great.
But you get to screw people over and make money?
Yeah, that's politics in a nutshell.
I'm in the wrong biz. See you later,
yes,
my friend.
okay. Vote for laws.